Welcome to another episode of the Vikings Gazette. We had two special guests on this week. Really exciting interview for us. We had Erin Henderson, a former Vikings linebacker who played 6 seasons with the Vikings, and AMarie, who is a sports comedian, and the two of them worked together on a podcast together. So we got two for the price of one. A lot of fun, really cool interview, and so we will throw it over there now. Hope you all enjoy.
Welcome to Notes from the North with Kyle and Sam.
Well, we'd like to welcome two special guests. We're excited for this one, super pumped. We've got AMarie and Erin Henderson joining us today, and we wanted to start off and just get a chance to hear a little bit about your guys' story and where you're at. And we'll start with AMarie. Can you give us a bit of your background as a fan of this team of the Vikings?
Well, my favorite player of all time now is Erin Henderson.
Good answer.
There it is.
No, for real though. As a Vikings fan, Minnesota roots, and actually, I grew up in. My family's both from Minnesota, but I grew up in New Mexico, so it's very confusing being in a state with no professional sports. And I come from a huge football sports family, and since I was a little girl, like 5, 6, I fell in love with Chris Carter, and then I was like hooked on the Vikings, like that since that day. So, and then I was never, I don't know, I always was like, you always dream as a little kid, I want to work for the Vikings or like whatever, and then it's kind of just unfolding into working in sports media, which is interesting because I never thought I'd be here right now. So, and I get to work with Erin.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we're actually,
it kind of just naturally happened. It didn't, I didn't plan on doing this. They just hit me up on Twitter one day. They're like, do you want to do a podcast with Erin Henderson? I was like, yeah. What? Yeah. That's how it happened.
Erin, did you coordinate that? Like, did you seek out AMarie, or was it just kind of a random thing that somebody else coordinated? Or?
I got a random message on Facebook from Mike Brez, actually. So I think somehow, some way we became friends on there, and I liked one of his posts or one of his pictures or something that he put up. And after I liked it, he sent me a message like, "Would you be interested in doing a podcast?" Shit, yeah, sign me up. So
sure,
that was that. And then I just so happened to get stuck with AMarie. Like that wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, he got stuck with me.
Yeah, okay.
But once I met her, I was like, she needs to do everything. I don't want to talk to anybody else over there at the network. I want her to do everything for my podcast and for what I'm trying to do. So
I'm like his podcast wife.
That's kind of how that happened.
Yeah. We're going to, I don't know if AMarie mentioned to you, Erin, we're going to do kind of like a getting to know you game based off Wikipedia. And when we do that, we're actually going to put it to AMarie a little bit. I didn't tell her this, but we're going to put it to her a little bit in the sense that, so we're going to list you 5 facts from your Wikipedia page to see if they're true or false. And this is inspired.
She's going to tell you if she has to answer first?
Precisely. Like, you ever see those couples games where like one spouse goes on stage and the other stays on the stage? It's kind of like that, right?
How good do you know him for real, huh?
Right, precisely. So before we get started, I should say I'm just totally there's a guy on YouTube who runs this YouTube channel called Loudwire, and he has all these famous metal musicians on, and this is what he does. So he'll be like interviewing the singer from like Slayer and then listing these facts and have these really neat interviews. So I'm totally ripping this idea off from him. But in any case, we're going. And so Sam's going to give us the facts about Erin. And AMarie,
I have to say if they're true or false?
True or false, how well do you know Erin? And then Erin can let us know whether they're true or false or maybe somewhere in between.
I'm in. I'm like this game.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Sam, get us going.
It's 5 questions. It's true or false. Hopefully, if you trust Wikipedia, they should mostly be true, but this will be
the question is, do you trust me? Because I might say something's true, I might say something's false. You never know.
You can edit your own Wikipedia page, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I didn't know
that. Erin's got the final.
You can go put in whatever you want on that Wikipedia page.
I'm about to go check it. I'm about to go make some adjustments.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, well, let's start with the first one. So the Wikipedia page begins by claiming that you're a former American football inside linebacker that played 9 seasons in the National Football League.
2009 to 2000. No, false. 9? No. 5, 6. Whoa, God.
There's actually 2 facts in there. Inside linebacker and then the amount of seasons. And so, I mean, he's linebacker. Yes, we can obviously.
He's linebacker, but he
But
was
do you
inside
play-
linebacker the whole time. Nah, I say false on both.
All right, Erin.
I only played inside linebacker. So even
Damn
though
it.
the will is considered an outside linebacker in the 4-3, so I guess you could kind of say I played outside backer.
Right.
Because in the 4-3, the will is outside backer.
Right.
But then I moved to the middle. In 13, remember I moved to the mic. Well, 12 really I started playing in the middle, and then 13 I moved full time to the mic in Minnesota. And then when I went to New York, we were in a 3-4, so it's only inside from there.
Right.
I played 8 seasons, so I was in the league. I was in the league. I was in the league from 2008 to 2016, but I missed 2014. I didn't play in 2014 due to personal reasons and things that had to be taken care of. So 9 years around the league per se, but 8 seasons credited.
Wow.
When I remember
I
you,
was kind of right on this. I'm kind of right on these.
You were. I was good, AMarie, and like when I remember Erin, when you played for Minnesota, I remember you as an inside linebacker. Because your brother EJ was a middle linebacker, I believe.
He was the
and
mic.
I think
Correct.
He was the mic. Right, exactly. That's how I remember it. Fair enough. But I guess if you moved around. Okay, so that's partially
right.
true. AMarie, you did pretty good.
I think inside linebacker is fair though, because like when you think about 3-4 defenses, now you start talking about outside linebackers.
Yeah.
You start talking about those DN types, you know what I mean? But playing in the 4-3, I'm still in the bubble. I still feel like I was an inside backer. I just got bored over there in the bubble. It wasn't enough action in the bubble. Taking on blockers for everybody else to make tackles, that shit gets boring. It gets old. That's why I wanted to play the mic.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. Sam, what do you think? Question number 2. What do we got?
Absolutely. So before the NFL, at least according to Wikipedia, you played quarterback and linebacker for Aberdeen High School in Maryland and won the first state football championship in school history.
True.
That's all true, AMarie?
Facts
Erin?
on facts.
That's all well documented. You know what I mean? I was one of the best to ever come out of the state of Maryland playing quarterback, whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah, you know what?
Actually,
You know how
Go
I
ahead.
found out Erin was a badass quarterback? Is like halfway through our podcast. And we've been podcasting just this past NFL in 2020, this past regular season. And when Denver had didn't have a quarterback and they had to bring someone off their practice squad, and he was like a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we were talking about a podcast, and Aaron's like, I could have played quarterback. And I was like, okay, you're acting like you can just play quarterback. And then I got shut down because I learned what he did in his past. So.
And then I brought my coach on the podcast to
And
really
he was-
tell him how good I was.
Yeah, he's sick quarterback. Aaron,
So then why the transition to linebacker full-time rather than quarterback full-time? How did that happen?
I didn't have any patience. And playing quarterback, there's only one on the field at a time. And for me, I ain't want to sit and wait. I watched my brother play at Maryland for 5 years. And by the time he left, his body was so beat up and so hurt, I knew I wasn't staying for that entire time. I knew I wasn't going to do 5 years. So I was trying to get on the field and get the plan and get the going as soon as possible. That was my mission. That was my goal. I really wanted to do 3 and get out of there. But I ended up doing 4 because I tore my ACL the 1 year. So I had a chance to play quarterback. I think I could have stuck around a little bit more, competed a little bit more. I think I surprised them when I got to camp at how I played and how I picked up on things. But I just wanted to get on the field and play.
True enough. I'm impressed, AMarie. Yeah, that was very before Sam even finished his line, you were nodding. Like you felt like,
I was like,
you had it.
I mean,
Fun fact. So Charlie Tad, for his soul, he was my recruiting coordinator and the quarterbacks coach at Maryland when I got there. And we had a quarterback who was ahead of me on the depth chart, probably like 1 spot. And he told me, man, when I went to go tell him I wanted to switch, he was like, why? Like, you're really close to having this guy beat out. Like, you're going to have him beat out pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I hear that, but then I still got 3 other people I got to beat out before I can get onto the field. Like, the numbers just don't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
That quarterback that I was going to beat out was Sam Hollenbeck. Sam Hollenbeck went on to be our starting quarterback when we went 9-4 and made it to the bowl game down in Florida, to the Champ Sports Bowl. So I was about to have our starting quarterback beat out, and I just wasn't patient.
Fun fact. What fun facts?
Okay.
Wow.
Maybe someone will listen to this and go and adjust Aaron's Wikipedia page. All right, Sam, number 3. What do we got?
Let's go 3. So apparently in the 2007 college season, you were a semifinalist for the Dick Butkus Award, which went to James. I would call the pronunciation.
Laurinaitis. Yeah,
Laurinaitis of Ohio State. True or false?
True.
Yeah. Erin?
True, big facts. And shout out to James Laurinaitis. It was he was actually one of my I was a Playboy All-American going into that season, so I got a chance to meet him out in Arizona, and we're still friends to this day. Was he a better linebacker than me? I don't know, but he went to Ohio State. You know what I mean? And he played all those years. You know, I left a year early. I think if I come back for another year, I'm back in that conversation, and make it a little bit further, if nothing else. But it was definitely an honor to be even mentioned in that category.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm crushing this game.
Yeah,
You're doing pretty good. Yeah.
You're a stalker. I would be surprised if you didn't know this stuff. You've been stalking me for like 6 months now.
Okay, and guys,
that's what it's called. That's what it's called. It's producing. It's not called stalking.
He's one of my dear friends now. I produce his podcast. I've heard every story on and off recording.
Yeah, she's heard some pretty wild shit, actually.
Number 4, Sam.
Let's see how you do with the last two. So Wikipedia claims you have 2 career NFL interceptions.
I think he has more.
I'm a bum. I only had 2, and they were like back to back.
I just
fucking
13. I want to have faith. I want to have faith in 5-0, especially.
Listen, man. I start out 13. I tell you, I'm on a tear in 13. So those first 3 games, we go to Detroit. I catch a pick in the first game off of Matt Stafford, and we come home, we lose, and then we play the Browns at home. And we play the Browns at home. I finished with 2 sacks and a pick that game. One of 2 linebackers in Viking history to do that. But those are my only 2 interceptions. I dropped one in Pittsburgh in London. Fucking Ben, he was back there for like an hour, man. And he was back there for like an hour. So I'm like, deep. I got to get back. I got to get in the middle half of the field. I got to keep going.
Damn it, man, Ben.
Somebody tipped it. I tried to run back to it. I was just a little too slow. So yeah, 2 picks. They are correct.
All right, fine.
And at least I thought more of you.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a good one to be wrong on. Okay, last one. Wikipedia suggests that after football, you, at least for a time, worked as a grade 8 math teacher and coached high school football.
Yes, true.
Facts. And life's hard after football, bro. Like you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure out what's next. I'm 30 years old, just finished with my career. Like who's 30 and finished with their career, you know? So I don't know what I'm doing next. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. I never did anything outside of football. I know I like kids though. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go and try to figure this out. So I went back to my hometown and was able to get into the school system with the help of some of the principals that I actually had when I was in school. And I went and volunteered as a high school coach and kind of got me through that first wave of the transition, so to speak, before I got into the next part of what I was trying to do. So,
sure. Do you like teaching?
I liked teaching. I think what was hard for me was that I was kind of like a wandering sub. So
sure. Yeah.
I had to go to different classrooms so often. And every time I go to a different classroom, I got to explain to the kids that I'm an NFL player. Yeah, I did play in the NFL. All that other shit. You know what I mean? And like, it kind of wears on you. You know what I mean? And like, I wasn't able to form the relationships that I wanted to form with the kids that I had in the classroom because they would move me from class to class. So one day I would be in here and the next day I'd be somewhere else. And it was just kind of hard for me. And from there, I went to working with a foundation for kids. So putting on youth camps and stuff like that. Man, I'm telling you, I tried all kinds of shit, bro. And then I got back into coaching and went and coached at the college level. Went and coached at Avila University in Kansas City, Missouri. I had coached in the linebackers there, so I had inside and outside linebackers there. It's a dope experience. It was a cool experience. A lot of time, though. It takes up a lot of your time. Very time consuming being a coach. As a player, you put in the time for sure, but coaches put in extra overtime. So that's kind of why I've gotten away from that. And now I breed dogs. So if you guys are looking for a dog or you're interested in a dog, let me know. I have American
Any
Bullies.
podcasts.
But this is for fun. I don't have any money coming to this, so
yeah.
He, as you can hear in the background, he has a squad of dogs.
How many dogs right now?
Right now, I have 8 that I own.
Wow.
They're so cute.
And I just had 2 litters down in Georgia. Hopefully have another litter here in a couple months. So it keeps you busy though. So like the good thing about like what I do with my dogs is that it's always something for me to do.
Right.
I don't really like to go out much. I don't really like to do too much. But I can't not do anything though. So this keeps me busy. This keeps me active. This keeps me engaged. And it keeps me tired at night and able to go to sleep. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 2 boys here, 2 senior shelter dogs, and so I mean, I don't think my house was as busy with 2 old pups as, you know, if you got young puppies and a lot more dogs, I'm sure you're much busier. But I do know, you know, with what you're saying is like you have to get up, you have to take them outside, you have to do things because you're accountable to these dogs, right? So yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah, so I think where I'm at now.
Fair enough. Frankly, I think Wikipedia did a pretty good job. I don't know.
I mean, I've always kind of been an open book. I never really cared to try to like hide what was going on for me or what was happening for me. So if they cared at all to keep up, it ain't hard to do. Like it's not difficult. I never really been one for hiding my shit.
Fair enough.
It is what it is, you know. I deal with it. I go through it, and I'm still here. So you can only judge me for so much for it.
True enough. And AMarie, you did all right.
I did A-okay.
Yeah, did pretty well.
I would hope producing his podcast that I would know something about him.
Well, we figured. I mean, I didn't clear it with you, but I figured it'd be fine. I figured by this point.
No, that was really good though. And
okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So, and the only one I got wrong was the interceptions, and I was expecting more of him. So.
Fair enough. Sam, do you want to hit second down?
Yeah, let's do second down. So we want to talk a little bit about OTAs and the undrafted free agents. And so, Erin, correct us if we're wrong, but you came into the NFL in 2008 as an undrafted free agent, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So I guess like one of the things we want to figure out is like, what is life like right now for those that are in that position? Like, what was life like for you as an undrafted free agent?
Shit, I was mad at the world. And I had a point to prove, honestly, because you telling me that I played in one of the top conferences in the country, and excelled 2 years straight. You know, I got my accolades. I did what I did, and for you to draft 252 people and me to not be one of them, I'm pissed. So I came in with a chip on my shoulder. But I tried to make sure I channeled it the right way and put it into the right energy and did things in a way that gave me the best opportunity to stick and be successful. I couldn't change it at that point. I was undrafted. It's over. You know what I mean? There's nothing I can do about it from here. But as a team, we put together, we figured out Minnesota would probably be the best fit for me based on the roster and what it looked like. I was a little hesitant to go there because I had already been in my brother's shadow in Maryland. But I had to think about my career at the end of the day. It was about me and trying to put myself in the best way to be successful and to win. And I just went out there and competed day in and day out, man. Like I just competed. If you line somebody up in front of me, I was going to bust his ass. And if I wasn't going to bust his ass, I was going to get back in line and try to come back and bust his ass the next time. I never wavered on my confidence, even though they let me go undrafted. I never stopped believing in my abilities and what I could do. And I think that's going to be the biggest part of it, because you're only going to have so many opportunities to go out there and show and prove. And if you step on that field and you got any doubt in yourself for that 1 or 2 reps, those 1 or 2 opportunities you got, you fucked. Because you're a camp body for real. Like, they're not really expecting nothing from you. They're not really expecting you to come out here and perform and compete and be ready to make a roster. And I told AMarie, you guys want to talk about the 09 thing. I broke my leg in the preseason. I ain't played the first 6 weeks. You know what I mean? And then I come back from that and I get suspended. I didn't play in 2009 season. I don't know how the fuck I stuck in the 2009 season. They know that my leg is broke at the 4th game. So I must have did something. I must have put in enough time and put in enough work in order to be able to stick around for something, even through that adversity, you know. But it was just a matter of making myself indispensable. I learned every linebacker position that I could learn. I did whatever they needed me to do on special teams. If they needed help on offensive scout team or the look team or anything else, I just made myself available. Made sure I was there, made sure I was first in line if I could be, make sure they saw me. If it was chances for me to compete against the guys that came in, the rookies, shit, like rookie minicamp, come on, man. I'm playing against the same people I played against in college. I'm going to do the same things to them I did too in college. And so, like, opportunities like that, you just got to make sure you're taking advantage of every time you step on the field.
So would it be fair to say, do you think, I mean, you've got 11 – so this year the Vikings had 11 draft picks, and then I think they brought in that many undrafted free agents. And then, you got more camp bodies signed after that. Would it be fair to say then, if based off your answer, it's maybe less about, players' physical abilities and more so maybe with the mindset and just aggressiveness and confidence and just willingness?
Mindset, it's definitely mindset, and I think part of it is luck too. I don't know if you guys remember Heath Farwell or not.
Yeah.
So my rookie year, I'm number 10 on the depth chart at linebackers. So three linebackers, three. You do the math. You know what I mean? There's 9 people rotating. I'm out. I'm the odd man out. What was cool about me being the odd man out is when Pug thought about me, my linebacker coach, when he remembered that I was sitting over there, he would just throw me in there. So sometimes he would throw me in there with the first team because it was get some reps. So I would step out there. I'm next to my brother all of a sudden as an undrafted rookie. So that was cool. But then when Heath got hurt, I ended up being third team all the time. And I got a chance to go out there and just show improve. And I never let up. So it is going to be some luck because who knows if I don't get a chance to go and show day in and day out, they might not keep me around. Heath Farwell is a good ball player. You know what I mean? So losing him opens up a door for me that might not have been there prior to. Even if I outplayed these guys, even if I did better than them, even if I was head and shoulders above them, they still might have some investment in them that they're not ready to let go of yet, or not ready to move on from yet. And I get the short end of that stick.
Right.
So it's
fair enough. AMarie, I mean, do you when you look at the current group of, I think the undrafted guys, but also the drafted guys, do you have any favorites? Any? It's obviously like Christian Darrisaw, left tackle. That's exciting first round pick. But.
You know what? Okay, so this is my thing about the draft this year, and Rick Spielman always drafts really well.
Yeah,
I think. A couple first rounders were whatever, but. I think it was so cool because we addressed what we needed, even though I didn't think it was we prioritized. It kind of just unfolded and was like I was like, wow, it's just like all happening for us. We're getting all like filling all the holes that we needed. I was like, this is going too well. And I was like, this is awesome. So I was really happy, especially because we drafted a damn quarterback. For once, I was like, Rick, thank you so much. Yeah. I was so excited. Yeah. You have no idea. That was my favorite pick of the whole draft.
The Kellen Mond pick, really?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
And this is the stupid thing about Viking fans. They think if you're excited about a quarterback that you don't like Kirk. I love Kirk. QB1, cool. Freaking develop a young quarterback for once in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What'd you think about that? What'd you think about that Mond pick? Did you like it?
I like him.
I like I'm surprised. Wasn't surprised that they drafted a backup quarterback. I'm surprised where they drafted a backup quarterback. But I think once you saw that Trask went, and then if they're saying to themselves, golly, there's maybe in the second group of QBs, they maybe have Trask and Davis and Mondale in that range. And if we don't take our guy now, we might not get him. And so I don't know what Rick Spielman's thinking, but I assume that might have played into it. And everything I've read about Kellen Mond is that dude's super competitive. I think he's a hard worker. He's smart.
Coachable. He keeps getting better. He's got
a great arm. Better. I think most of his college career, from what I can read, I'm not a big college football guy, but I think it was mostly from the pistol or the shotgun. Whereas, of course, the Vikings are not. It's going to be under center. And so I imagine there's going to be things he has to work on, like any rookie, and that's fine. But I don't think. I think maybe some folks overreacted a little bit, where they said, "Oh, the Vikings' second pick. This is doom for Kirk Cousins." I don't see it that way at all. I don't see it that way at all. I think this is a really smart thing to do because you shouldn't look back to 2017 and Case Keenum. Like you shouldn't have to convince Vikings fans that having a good backup is a good investment, right? Like having someone who can come in and keep the team competing, that's really important, right?
But we're also developing Kirk too. We haven't been in this serious of a relationship with the quarterback in a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're developing a quarterback under our system. We don't do that.
Right.
So we don't commit to quarterbacks, or we go get some old man.
Right.
And competition also brings out the best in people.
Yes,
and
give him.
If there's no backup competition, if there's nobody pushing Kirk, I mean, then who knows what happens? But I think you get the best version of somebody when there's somebody on their heels.
I mean, we've talked about the Jordan Love effect, where you draft Jordan Love in Green Bay, and then Aaron Rodgers has an excellent season, and he's always been an excellent quarterback. But last year he played better than he had in a few years
because he felt slighted. He felt like he had something to prove again. He felt like he had y'all going to draft him? Oh, okay. He felt like he had something to prove.
Precisely, exactly. And so you motivate someone who is unbelievably gifted, and look at what you get. You get an amazing quarterback for a year, MVP.
And so Kirk is coming off his best season too.
He played well, man. He struggled those first 6 games. I don't think he played very well at all in the first 6 weeks. But post-bye, Cousins was excellent. He was really good.
It was a tough year in general.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was a tough year. It was a massive hole to climb out of, and it didn't start well.
Sam, what do you think? Third down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cute. Second, third. I see what we're doing here.
We're from Canada, so we do 3 downs as a nod to CFL. Even though neither of us enjoy the CFL or watch it very much, but anyhow,
we basically have 3 downs and then trash.
Well, we don't want to see that 4th down. We want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, forget it. Yeah,
exactly. So we want to talk a little about Zimmer, and we'll start off with AMarie here. So a simple question that may be difficult to answer: do you think Mike Zimmer is the coach who can finally lead Minnesota to a Super Bowl?
This is a tough question. That's just a tough question as a Viking fan in general. Yes, I do believe in him. The only thing I don't understand is how we have lost so many coordinators over the years. So I'm still trying to figure that out. If it's Zimmer or if it's our front office or whatever. But I mean, you can look at a lot of things. He's done a good job. Mm-hmm. And I think we could do it if we were healthy. There's just always a missing piece.
Yeah. And at one point, when do you say there's always a missing piece, but the one constant is Zimmer? So at what point do you say, okay, so we have 6, 7, 8 years. Well, there's always something.
Well,
but the consistent thing is,
year, he's got to go.
Right.
Aaron, with the team we have, and get my boy Harrison Smith and all these people a damn ring for the love of God before they retire.
Harrison Smith deserves a ring as much as anybody. He's just fantastic. I mean,
Aaron, all them, So these Aaron, veterans, I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's time. You have it all. We have it all now. And if our defense is healthy, no problem.
They should be better. Aaron, I wanted to get your perspective on Zim, just in the sense of
defensive coach.
You obviously, yes, you played linebacker. He's a defensive coach, but then just overall his approach, does that wear on players over years of someone who is just really hard-nosed, kind of crusty, sometimes can be difficult to get along with? I mean, that's one thing to maybe have someone in your ear for one season and kind of give you an earful here and there. But then if that's 5, 6, 7 years, is that an effective approach?
I mean, I've never experienced them personally. I've only seen what I've seen from a distance,
right.
or heard things. So it's kind of difficult for me to say, in that situation specifically. But I can tell you that it is tough though when you never get a break. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Or when you feel like somebody's always riding you, always on you. And I think that to a certain extent it is necessary. But I think you also have to pay attention to certain factors like age. Do I have a young team? Do I have an old team? Do I have a mature team? Do I have an immature team? Do I have a deep team where we can bang in practice, or do I have to worry about how thin our roster is and kind of preserve? So that's where I think that coaching comes into it. You say, well, 6, 7, 8 years of them doing the same thing, people getting hurt, injuries popping up. Well, 2 things with that: take better care of your players throughout the season. You might not have as many injuries, and 2, if you do have injuries, I think coaching can help the next man up. If you have solid coaches and people that believe in you. I was a backup for a while. You know what I mean? So, and when your number gets called, it's nerve-wracking as shit. But it helps. It helps if you have somebody that believes in you. It helps if you have somebody that's been in your corner, somebody that's been pulling for you and been rooting for you and wants to see you succeed and do well. But different coaches give it to you in different ways. You know what I mean? All coaches ain't gonna pat you on your back and tell you good job, great job. It just is what it is. And I think part of being a good coach is being able to adapt and adjust.
Right.
And if I haven't had success, I haven't had success to the extent that I've wanted to have success, then maybe I should go and look and see what I need to do differently, how I can approach this differently so that we can get to where we're trying to get to.
Right.
And I think to what you were saying, AMarie, one last thing, like with the coordinators and things like that leaving, NFL is a copycat league, and the Vikings have had some success in the past few years, seasons. And then you look at Stefanski goes to Cleveland, and he's doing a great job as the head coach for the Browns, and getting them into the playoffs. And so that tree is going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to be there. And they're winning. They win enough, but just don't win it all. If that makes sense.
I'm sick of being like a 9-7 team.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. I'm like, okay, you have all the pieces. Like, well, come on. Like, now we're gonna be a 10-7 team.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think what Erin's saying is true. A lot of those coordinators go because you do so well. I mean, Pat Shurmur did great. He gets hired to be the Giants head coach, right? Stefanski does awesome. He gets hired to be the Browns head coach. But then you get Flip, who doesn't do very well, right? He gets fired. You get Norv Turner that didn't go very well. So it's kind of been a little bit of feast or famine, it feels like, with the offensive coordinators. Sometimes they've gone so well, they've been a victim of their own success. And other times things have just gone really, really poorly and they've really underperformed. And of course, the constant in all that has been Zim, who I like. I like Coach Zimmer. But I could see if I was maybe one of his players after 5, 6, 7 years, I might tune him out. I don't know if I would or I wouldn't, but
I'd like to see some not family related coaching in the Minnesota Vikings organization. I think that's where change comes, and that's where differences in opinions make teams better, help teams improve. Right? We might have to bump heads. We might have to bump heads behind the scenes a little bit. You know what I mean? It might not be perfect as coaches in here in this coaching room, but we're gonna get the results that we need out here on this field. And when you got father son here, father son here, father son here, father son here. I mean, shit, I'm 30. I'm about to be 35, and there's still only certain things I'm gonna say to my dad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way of the world. Yeah, Dad, you're right. Yeah, yep.
I didn't even realize how close we keep in the family. Got Kubiak's son, got Zimmer's son, and Andre Patterson's son is our running back coach.
And I mean, that's what do players think of? So I mean, you're a linebacker, Erin, and Adam Zimmer is the linebacker coach and co-defensive coordinator. I mean, if you're in the linebacker room and you got the head coach's son as your position coach, I'm
gonna give you respect until you show me otherwise. So like, it's hard as a player because a lot of times the coaches haven't done what you're doing, and they're telling you what to do. But how the fuck can you tell me what to do and you've never done it? But once they show you that they do know and you can trust them and what they're trying to preach and what they're trying to tell you, it doesn't matter who it is at that point.
Sure.
And as a little brother, I can talk about maybe young Zim gets the linebacker job because of his dad. There's people that's gonna say I got a job as a linebacker because of my brother. So I'm not gonna walk into the room and disrespect the man or look at him like he shouldn't be there or he doesn't deserve to be the coach. But you got to be able to show me that you deserve to be the coach, though.
Right.
Right. And I think it's I just think it's tough. I think it's very difficult when it's all family oriented to bump heads and to have issues and to have problems. And then if we're just coworkers and there's no other relationship outside of coworkers, then I'm not going to care as much as I just want to win. That's all I care about. I just want to win. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here you're not going to be offended because you're my dad. I'm not going to be offended because you're my son. We're just coworkers trying to win. And I don't really see that. And I think last year when we came out and dug that hole that you guys spoke about, it's because there was no fire. There was no excitement. There was no juice. Attitude. There was no attitude at all. And that's all from coaching. And if everything's all sweet and dandy with the coaches and the coaching tree and everything coming down, that's all a reflection of that. That's all a reflection of that. So I was really surprised last year how they started out because Zim does have so much attitude. And because of how he carries himself and how he presents himself, I think his team should reflect that, and they didn't. And I think that's where the disconnect comes in.
Okay, well, then my final question, this is for both of you, is when we put Dalvin Tomlinson in the defense, when we put Michael Pierce and hopefully Danielle Hunter, so when we have the defensive tackles and then we have the defensive ends there, I mean, that's obviously makes life easier for a linebacker, but that ripples throughout the entire defense. And so when you improve that defensive line, hopefully the linebackers are healthy. I mean, what can we really expect in terms of a bounce back from the group? What do you think? Is this a defense that's going to be top 10, top 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No doubt at all in your mind.
Think about we even lost Kendricks the last couple games. I mean,
yeah, we did. Yeah.
I mean, as people who cover for the Vikings, I'm like, who the hell is that on the field right now? No, I didn't say that, but
yeah, you did. Yeah. We did. Yeah, we did.
We're like, what is that? Well,
I never heard of
so
this
funny because he won't address them by their name unless they're doing something productive. He refused to call Anthony Harris by Anthony Harris the whole season.
Was that number 41? Oh, number 41.
He's like 41.
I told you he was going to get his ass up out of there, though. He got a.
Yeah, Erin was telling me towards the end of the season that you're starting to show for other teams. You know, that's so. Yeah, it's really funny. Anyways, between Anthony Barr, I think I just read taking a pay cut or whatever, but Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Danielle Hunter. I mean, we're gonna have everyone back.
Tough Borland's not bad either. I watched him play a little bit.
Yeah.
He's not a bad ball player either. But I think the biggest thing for this team and for Zim, if you go back and you look at his history, is getting a lockdown corner. So bringing in Patrick Peterson, that's going to be huge because now that allows you to roll the rest of your coverages and the rest of your defenses, and you can blitz and you can be aggressive like Zim today. And so now he can feel comfortable in the one-on-one matchups with their best receiver. That's going to be huge for him. And then when you add in that D line and that D end that you're talking about, and being able to get some pressure on them, it's going to look a lot more like a Zim defense.
Harry doesn't have to babysit.
Yeah, and then I think it did last year. And I think it's going to be a jump for sure. I think it's going to have there's going to be some gelling that needs to be done. They're going to have to come together. They're going to have to. It's some new pieces, a lot of moving parts right now, but they have time, and it's just a matter of always having a sense of urgency. Even though you have time, you still got to have a sense of urgency.
Is that mostly just communication, Erin, in terms of like gap assignments and obviously in coverages? You're saying so, just taking time to gel,
and also trust. Like,
sure.
You know, and so playing linebacker, you talk about linebacker to D line. Man, I rely on my D line like an offense, like a running back rely on his offensive line.
Yep.
So if my D lineman he's supposed to be in the A gap, stay your ass in that A gap, bro. I'm gonna go do everything else. I'm gonna go take care of what I'm supposed to take care of, but stay your ass in there. So. Like if you don't have that trust and you just now coming onto the field with somebody and he got the A gap, he jump out the B. Now I don't feel like I can do my job no more. I feel like I got to stay here and wait for him. So it's like building that stuff. Like, man, I played with Snacks up in New York, and with the Jets, and our shit clicked so fast. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really get a chance to play like to the end of the season, but once they put me out there with him, it was nothing that nobody can do with it. So when you can find those kind of combinations and you can find people that gel together like that. It shows immediately. It shows quick, and it makes a difference quick too. Go watch 15. Yo, if you ever get bored, go watch 15 with the Jets, and I was just running free.
Snacks
That's the D line.
It's a good player.
That's the D line holding me down. So I'm just free to go run.
Right. And that's why I specifically mentioned Michael Pierce, Dalvin Tomlinson, these big dudes who really should let Eric Kendricks thrive, should allow Anthony Barr to thrive.
And look what Eric is already producing with the squad he had. I'm
right.
Like, this
Precisely.
Is insane.
Precisely.
I'm so excited.
And did y'all see the picture of Dalvin Cook?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really. My response was he looked like MJ after he got tired of getting beat up by the Pistons. I don't know, like when MJ was like, what, fuck this, I'm getting in the gym. I'm about to get these.
He has something to prove. He
Telling
told us
you,
that. He told us that last year when he didn't get when he didn't win that award. Whatever. He's like he's got something to prove. So I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, true.
And
enough.
we addressed the offensive line. So give Kirk time and Dalvin. God, I'm so excited.
Hey, 30 carries, please. That's all I ask. Just get him, man.
Yeah, that's all we ask.
30 touches. It don't even got to be carries. 30 touches.
That's all we ask.
I was about to say 30
On
touches.
our pod, that's all we ask.
Please involve him in the run or the passing game more. Please get him out in space, screen passes, little flare outs. Don't just slam him into the middle all the time. Please get him out in space.
And Justin said that too. He has something to prove because he has a target on his back now, and everyone's he's like, just wait. Like, I love all this. Everyone wants to prove something. I was like, yes.
And that's a very Zimmer attitude. That's a very Zimmer approach to
Justin's
things.
like
so,
ready to go.
Yeah, we'll see. Sam, anything else from you, man?
No, it's great. I'm just more excited about the season as we're talking about it. It feels like it's been such a long time because the season ended.
Yeah.
At the end of December for the Vikings, and now it's almost end of May, and we've got a couple more months. But it just feels like we're just excited for this thing to start.
It'll be here in no time. Well, just in seeing all the practicing yesterday and all the guys having fun, I was like, oh.
Is Minnesota going to allow fans to the games?
Yes.
I think so.
And our home opener is against Seattle, and it's our turn. We have not beat Russell Wilson yet, so I'm ready.
We were talking about the last time. I think it's been 2009 was the last win against
Seattle. Yeah. And we always play them in Seattle. It's so difficult in Seattle.
But that's what I'm saying. Home opener, week 3, we'll be gelling. I'm ready.
Yep. Let's get them.
I definitely played in Seattle every year I was in Minnesota.
Yeah, always. And it's always like a Sunday night game. It's so weird.
Definitely
It's like always like prime time in Seattle. I'm like, no thanks. Let's switch the
season.
And they're always close. Like it's not like they got blown out last year in week 6, or it's not like when Blair Walsh missed that field goal. I mean, obviously it was a close game.
Well, no, we should have won this year, but
we should have won with the Blair Walsh game too. We should have, like, all these games against Seattle, we always should win, and then we lose. It's like, and it's anyhow. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I can't explain it.
This season will be different.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's hope. Anyways, we will finish off here, but we just want to extend a sincere thanks to AMarie and Erin for joining us today. Listeners can find Erin on Twitter at that one guy Erin. That's that one, the number one guy Erin.
One guy.
And AMarie is on Twitter at part.
See, you got it. Hold on, but Erin is ERIN. Make sure that's why it's funny.
True.
That's why it's funny.
Right.
It's ERIN.
Then listen to our podcast. It's so good.
Yeah, totally.
We're getting it out there now. But just like how you said about the Wikipedia, Erin wants to go beyond what people see on the media and on the internet and talk to former athletes and a variety of people. It's called Asked and Answered.
Sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. I love it.
Perfect. Anything that they should know more on that? Like any place to find it?
On Apple, Spotify, Amazon, any platform, but it's Asked and Answered.
Is that with
It's
Jamarcus
so
Sanford?
good.
Is that with Jamarcus Sanford?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
He was
right.
honestly, Sanford at the time, he was one of my favorite players. I loved watching Jamarcus Sanford play. So you can tell him that. But
That's when Aaron's. Yeah, he would come talk to you. He's awesome.
Dude, I love Jamarcus Sanford. He was great. Yeah.
We love Jamarca too.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank
No
you.
problem. No problem at all. Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Well, that was a lot of fun. That was a great interview. It's fun. We'd like to think that we have a former professional player on, and episode 15 is super cool. And I know it was a lot of work, Kyle, for behind the scenes, you getting that set up, and it was a lot of fun to talk with Erin and AMarie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good perspective, right? Like it's one thing to, Sam and I are just fans, right? Like, and we played in high school and we played, but like, Erin brings a different perspective playing in the NFL for 8 seasons, and AMarie, I mean, she's been covering the team for a while now. She's been a fan for a while, and I don't know. So I just really appreciated getting both their opinions. I thought they were both excellent.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. It was just the energy that came. It was definitely different than any of the other interviews we've done so far.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun, and they are great people, and we definitely encourage people to check out their work and their podcast, and we'll definitely put up stuff for that in the link to this episode and on the Vikings Gazette when we post this.
Yep,
I'm
absolutely.
curious, like, takeaway that you have from that episode.
The
Anything
main
that you
take.
found noteworthy?
Yeah, the main take. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but the
Yeah.
main takeaway I liked when he was talking about Damon Harrison, referred to him as Snacks. That's his name, Snacks Harrison. He's a big dude. He's a defensive tackle, but he's talking about how when he was playing with Snacks Harrison with the Jets, and how he could play so free as a linebacker. And I thought that was interesting. In that, I mean, in one sense, you can look, so for Vikings fans, you think of Eric Hendricks and think of Barr. How much easier is it going to be for this year when you have Dalvin Tomlinson and Michael Pearson there? When you have those really high-end defensive tackles who do so well, it just makes life so much easier for your linebackers. But then with what Erin was saying, just in that when you have confidence, so you have a team, obviously. So you have 11 guys in your defense, but each one has an individual assignment on each play. And then when one guy doesn't do his assignment well, that can have a ripple effect throughout the entire thing. And so for Erin to talk about and kind of confirm what we know in a sense, but from his own perspective of actually playing, of actually being in NFL defenses, to say that, hey, when I'm confident that Snacks Harrison is going to be in the A gap, and not just that, but he's going to do really exceptionally well in that role, and then he can play so much more confident and free, and then in turn he has a lot more individual success because he's so confident in the player in front of him. So I just thought that was really good. Defense is you're so dependent on the players around you in many instances.
Oh yeah, no, we've talked about the domino effect, right? Of like, if you got a hole there, then it affects everything else that you're doing. And so he explained that well. And I think from his perspective, especially in that linebacker position where you're very much responsible for a lot of different things and you have to be really aware of what's happening. It was really interesting just to hear him describe that. I think for me, one of the moments that I can just remember from the interview, we recorded a couple days ago, but when Kyle started talking a little bit about Kellen Mond and his role in bringing him in and what that does for Kirk Cousins, both Erin and AMarie were really had a lot of physical cues. You couldn't necessarily hear it as much in the conversation, but they were like, just what it does to bring in that competition and hopefully what that does to bring out the best in a Kirk Cousins, who we know is a competitive guy. I think that we really have a lot of hope for seeing the best version of our franchise quarterback, Kirk Cousins,
precisely
coming into this season. So
it's not about just having a better backup, but you might actually get a better starter as a result.
Just the interconnectedness of a football team.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, we hope you all enjoy that. Just skipping to our odds and ends quickly here and finishing off. We're recording on Saturday morning here, this part, and last night the Minnesota Wild season ended. Can't say it's a surprise. I think I would be curious to hear what other fans would have to say at the start of the season of what they're hoping for. But you know what? You've got these two juggernauts. You got Colorado and Vegas in your division, and you knew basically you're going to have to go through both of those to move on. And to take Vegas to 7, which I would say outside of Colorado and Tampa, I would say Vegas is the third best team in the league. And to have to play them in a first round matchup is just, it was hard. And they fought, they really grinded away, and a lot of great performances. They really shut things down. Last night, things kind of got a little bit open. Things really opened up, and the offense was pouring, and Minnesota's just not going to win a game that there is that high scoring on a regular basis. But a lot of good takeaways from the season.
Do you think Vegas is better than Boston?
I do.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
That's a good question. You know what? The way that Boston is playing right now and the way that Vegas is playing right now, I think that's a fair argument. But when you look at, I don't know. It's a good, maybe that's fair. But definitely Vegas is a top team, and
without question as well, they're top 5, top 6, no question about it.
Easy. And I think that there's a lot of people like this Colorado Vegas series. People have talked about it being potentially like a cup final and a second round series. Regardless, you've got two really good teams in a division, and they did well. There's a lot of good things to build off of on the season. You got Kirill Kaprizov. I was watching him last night, and just the way that they surrounded him on the power play, like to double team someone on a power play when they're already shorthanded, is just like they just know how dangerous this guy can be, and he did get the power play goal. And just as they continue to bring in these young guys, this new talent with Rossi and Boldy and others that may come along, I think there's lots to look forward to. But it's going to be an interesting offseason, especially with the expansion draft and lots of possibilities. And we'll definitely continue to talk about that. But I think overall, you're disappointed as a Minnesota Wild fan. But when you look at it through the context of everything that they dealt with, I think that you got to be able to take some positives away.
I think so. I mean, Minnesota fans just have been through a lot in general, right? And I'm not a Wild fan, so it's easier for me to say I wouldn't have this perspective if it was the Vikings, but just with where the Wild are in their development as a team, right? And then, what Sam's saying about how the emphasis that they put on Kaprizov, I mean, the onus really falls now, and obviously you want to develop that young talent, but if you can bring in one or two more high-end players so that you really can't key in on Kaprizov in that same way. I mean, and what Sam was saying is true. Vegas is at the very least, Vegas is a top 5, top 6 team, and you went toe to toe with those guys. And so, before the season began, expectations changed throughout the season, and I get that. But before the season began, that would have been a humongous success. So I think this is actually really positive for the Wild, even though it's disappointing.
Yeah, no, you finished third in a division, and we're ahead of the St. Louis Blues, who've struggled recently, but were a Stanley Cup champion a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
Like they have done well. So for sure, I think there's definitely lots of things to be encouraging, and I think, or to be encouraged by. And if you had said that they were going to finish third and take Vegas to 7 in the first round, I think that you never want, like, that's not really a satisfying result, but considering where the team was, I think that's good news. So anyways, good. That's the end of the season for them. Lots of hockey playoffs to continue on. And for those fans who are missing the NFL right now, Kyle and I are both definitely hockey fans. And I think that there is just, I don't know, you can make a lot of arguments for what sport has the best postseason, but hockey postseason is something that is incredible to watch.
7-game series. If you can get to game 6, game 7, by that point, the teams hate each other so much. It makes for compelling hockey.
Yeah.
Oh, can I, before Sam, we move on to this? This is, Sam doesn't see this coming, I don't think, but can I get a prediction out of you? So Sam is a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and they're playing game 6 tonight against their hated rivals, the Habs. This is the same as like if the Vikings were playing the Packers kind of thing. It's a big deal. And so what's your prediction for tonight?
It's like, as everyone's going to know at this by the time they hear it, and they're like, I'm hoping it doesn't get to a game 7, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
I told Kyle, like, I don't have IBS, but if I was to have IBS, like, this was the situation that would bring it out of me. Like, the Leafs have not won a playoff round in 17 years. Right. And I've heard this for so long. I think they're going to win. I'm hoping they're just going to like mop the floor with them. Like, I'm hoping it's going to be 4-1.
Right.
Which isn't really mopping the floor, but it's like, I'm hoping there's a dominant effort. And I think that Toronto has been the better team basically in every game. Like there's been, like they came back from a 3-0 deficit last game and just lost in a brutal turnover in overtime. But Toronto's going to get game 6, because I'm saying that because I also just don't want to experience a game 7. Like Kyle says, it's a lot of fun as a fan of a sport, but when you have something riding on it, like it will be intense. So I'm definitely hoping for a win tonight, and because they got to start their series on Monday. And so they're the last series that are going right now. And so I'm hoping that they can just finish it off and get on to Winnipeg.
Okay. Well, so Sam's saying he's picking the Leafs. I'm going to say it goes to game 7. I think the Habs win tonight. And, but I mean, by the time this podcast becomes live, we'll all know the result, but I'm saying it goes to game 7. And then from there, it's a 1-game series. So we'll see.
Well, this has been fun. We're going to end now.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I understand it would definitely be a lot of fun. There'd be excitement, but I'm confident. I have more confidence in the team than I ever have. And that's saying something, because I've been hurt so many times before. But thanks everyone for listening. Be sure to stop by the VikingsGazette.com for great Minnesota Vikings news, commentary, and analysis. The Vikings Gazette can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Vikings Gazette. It's been great chatting, and we'll talk with you all in a couple weeks.